Say hi.
Hi.
I'm Amber Rodriguez, and you're watching the Recount Podcast.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the Three Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, and I will be leading you on your expedition today. But this is Now Entering the Ring, and we have a guest for you. This man formerly played at the University of Nebraska. You can find him at Towson University. He has also been at the WWE Performance Center. He is the man known as Quayshon Alexander.
Love it. Thank
So,
you for the show.
Yo, man, first of all, thank you for agreeing to come on the show.
Yeah, no, I mean, shoot, I think this is awesome. I love wrestling and I love a podcast.
Oh, bet. So we got the best of both worlds for you.
Exactly.
So I want to share the story with you before we jump into all the questions, right? So another person who's on this podcast is very upset right now. He's not on the show. He's very upset because he lives in Lincoln.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Lincoln, Nebraska, huh?
Yep. So he's a huge Nebraska fan.
Okay.
And to show off, I as well am a Nebraska fan.
Oh man.
And here's the trippier part. I live in Baltimore. I'm only 25 minutes away from Towson University.
Jesus, man.
Yes.
Oh man, what a little world we got, bro.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, yo, I'm about to blow your whole mind, right off the jump.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
But oh man, so you just got done with the Performance Center. You had your event there, and you were talking about it. I'm just very curious, though, how did you how did you get into the world of wrestling? How did you find your way into it?
Oh man. So when I was super young, wrestling was all I had. All me and my friends had. Come home, play the PS2. Actually, still got it. You play all the SmackDown versus Raws, this, that, and third. And it was this fantasy that we had when we were kids about yo, what if we can make it to WWE, and we'd sit there, have conversations about it, talk about it constantly every day, watch all the pay-per-views, go have parties for pay-per-views, you know what I'm saying? And when you grow up like that, it's when you have that dream but there's no real way of getting there, you're not like a third generation superstar, you're not someone who actually knows even amateur wrestling at the time. You just know this is what you want to do. You just don't know how you're going to get there. And it was such a dream for a long time, and I was such a fan for a long time that it was something that always stuck with me. It was one thing that I've always just I've never once in my head denied the dream of wanting to be a wrestler.
Oh, bet, man. That's awesome, though, man. I'm curious, though, you mentioned the PS2, you mentioned all the SmackDown versus Raw games, so I'm very curious, man. Who was your go-to wrestler?
So growing up, obviously it was The Rock. No one, Stone Cold. No one could tell me anything otherwise. But as I really started to develop a knack for wrestling, I think The Undertaker was my favorite, and there's a reason for that. Is because when you don't have cable when you're younger, you only got the main channels. So we didn't have cable. So every time SmackDown came on, I was in the house watching SmackDown, and it was The Undertaker, Eddie Guerrero, and a bunch of other superstars, Rey Mysterio, leading the show, and you're like this is that was it. Now, I mean, I would get the Raw packages, you'd see it for a split 30 seconds. They used to make those awesome promos back in the day. I mean, they were sick, and you get those packages, so it made you hungry to watch Raw. But when SmackDown came on, that was the thing.
Man, I could think all about the SmackDown 6. I just remember when Paul was running that show, and it was Taker and Eddie and Ray and Edge, and you had Chris Benoit, who name doesn't get talked about anymore.
Right.
But yeah, you had all those guys, man, and they were such great talents, and you could put them in one-on-ones, tag teams, 6-man tags, and they were just we got SmackDown, we gonna hold it down, and they did an incredible job.
Incredible, it was.
Oh, and Kurt Angle. I don't know why I'm going to forget about Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was a part of that SmackDown 6.
Yeah.
The wrestling machine.
He switched over for a little bit, but he's the reason I think I got in TNA too, actually.
Bet, man. So, you just had your WWE tryout, and I'm very curious, how did playing NCAA football prepare you for your WWE tryout?
Well, because I mean, to be honest, you have to have a certain level of endurance and a certain level of mental as well. Because like when you get in there, I mean, and it's funny too because I remember I was telling the dudes because like between all of us that were there were only there were eight of us guys who were collegiate athletes, whether that was wrestling or football, and then you had two indie wrestlers, so they already knew kind of what to expect. They had their in-ring ability was crisp, clean, rolling and everything like that, pump to pump taking, selling, all of it was great, top notch. But between all the athletes, I think none of them had actual experience in the ring. And I was probably the only one that's actually been in the ring, but I haven't been in the ring nearly as long, to have everything crisp either. Like there was a lot I was learning as well, or at least relearning, because when you haven't been in the ring for so long, ring rust is a real thing, and you can't just like turn it on or remember exactly what's going on. So when we got there, I was telling them like kind of like, all the things like they're gonna have us do, to the best of my ability. But I mean, when you're actually doing it, when you're actually getting trained by them and they're really pushing you, that's when it starts to get tough, and you have to have a certain, you know, mental, emotional like capacity that's super high. Because I mean, realistically, off the bat, they were trying to break us. They want to see whether or not like we're actually just mentally tough enough to do it. I mean, we started off doing, push-ups and sit-ups and a different kind of dynamic warm-up, but we were all freaking tired as hell by the time we finished the warm-up. You know what I mean? But we relied on each other. We talked to each other for about maybe like 2 hours before we actually got in there, just to go through COVID protocol, which helped a lot because as an athlete too, you got to lean on your brothers. Same thing with wrestling. When you're traveling on the road and things are getting tired and hectic, you always have to lean on your brothers and sisters to help you kind of get through those times. So it was very tough. It's not anyone can just do it. That's why you have such little talent on different rosters, is because it gets grueling after a while. So that's how football did prepare me for that moment.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Like mental toughness is important, and when you're in the collegiate side, or when you're in whether you're in the military, whether you're in the world of wrestling, like mental toughness is there. And like you're right, the first thing we hear the stories of like people who talk about like when they got in their first days of wrestling, all they did was they get stretched out and beat up and then told what they got to do, and they get beat them up some more because what they're doing is just trying to weed out people like who just don't want to be there. So yeah, it's
Right.
cool to hear that. Like you said, like you went through the whole entire, you leaned on your brothers, and then they kind of helped you like push you through across. So that's really cool though, man. So another question I'm going to ask you, right? Um, what what's some of the advice that you received prior to going to your tryout?
Right. So for a few years now, I've been talking to a classic WCW wrestler. He became a good friend of mine, Rick Rogers, and I called him and I talked to him about it, told him how excited I was and things like that. And he gave me perfect advice. He told me to go in there. He told me not to be too, don't be too excited. Try not to fangirl. If you see somebody that, try not to be, lose focus of what the goal is. I think the best advice he told me was to just listen to what the trainers have to say, and I think that goes a long way. Because if you can't listen to them and you're not coachable, then you can't go much farther in the business. Like I think a lot of times too, like we all, had our mistakes and messed up and did things like that. But as we went through each rep, we got better at something. And even if we necessarily, maybe our rep didn't look as good, we were mentally just working on it every single time. And we were taking the advice that they were giving us. So they were coaching us like we were one of the superstars, which, in that time we were. So if you I think listening and being coachable is probably the most important thing, because it'll take you the farthest, and it'll allow you to actually connect with them a lot too. Like a lot of times, we were in the middle of reps and then we just start talking about maybe different things, or we start talking. Sometimes we just start talking about life and like, as much of things just to make us feel comfortable, kind of ease our nerves. Like I was real tense, in the beginning, because like I said, like when it's such a dream of yours and you're happy to be there, like shoot, every rep you want it to be perfect, you want it to be great, to show them that, hey, like, this is something I want to do full time, not just 2 days and get out of here and thank you for the experience. It's like, no, like this is my way of exposure and getting inside. So if I think mostly if you listen to them and what they're saying, you'll take a great deal away from the whole experience.
Yeah, I've had a few friends who've actually gone through and like done the tryouts. I like on different sides too. One was a ref and the other one was a wrestler, and then they came back and like told me everything that they went through, and I was like, man, like it is intense. And I was like, I'm up for this challenge. So like you said like you had wrestling like all your life and all your friends and stuff like that, and then you kind of mentioned too that like you had done some stuff, but I'm very curious, like where have you trained before that you said like you got in a ring, you were still kind of rusty, but I'm just very curious like where you've been trained at.
Yeah, so I would go to like a few camps. They host a few down in New Jersey. I went to a few with Rick Rogers and things like that. So I get in the ring here and there, like I said, when I come home from school. Nothing to the point to where I was actively training with a specific school. More so like when people would come to New Jersey, and have a little camp, go there, get in the ring, try to learn as much as I can, just put my foot in the door, things like that. I did, I was walking in on a trainer from New Jersey, Damian Adams. He's trained a great deal of superstars. And early on, I remember my college career, I was going to his training facility, hopped in between the ropes with him, ran them a bit, just kind of watching everything that they did. So, that it was just all really a lot of mental learning, a lot of baby steps as well too.
No, that's cool though, man. It's funny too, man, because if you're looking for another place to train while you're in Baltimore, I may know where that place is at.
What is it? You gonna say PWC or what?
Oh no! I train at Riot City Compound. So
okay, all right, dope. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that one for sure. I've been looking around in multiple areas, up in New York and New Jersey and down here. So I'm definitely looking for a place to make it, to continue my journey and that whole thing.
That. So yeah, we definitely talk offline about that. But with that being said, man, that's really kind of like all my really hard-hitting questions that I have for you. But we do have the world famous 3-count podcast, 10-count questions. Mr. Alexander, this is how it works. We're going to ask you a lot of questions, 10 to be exact, in a rapid pace. Whatever's the first thing that comes to your mind, that's your answer.
Okay, I'm ready for this.
Sorry, man. This isn't Memorial Stadium. We don't have that kind of pressure. I'm sorry, but we'll put the imaginary timer on the clock. Bing! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
Bridge of Terabithia.
Oh, good movie. Yeah. Sonic or Mario?
Sonic.
Favorite TV show?
Reba.
Okay. Friday night, what you doing?
Drinking.
Hey. Favorite color?
Blue.
Deadlifts or squats?
Squats.
Hey. Favorite podcast?
3-count podcast, baby.
That's right, baby. That's the number one podcast. And then nominate one person that you want to see on this show.
My boy Danny Garcia, man.
Danny
Garcia, yeah.
And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this show: favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Yeah, see, that's the only word that you can use. Right? I mean, I legitimately been telling people, and if you listen to past episodes, you'll hear me talk about this, the history of the F word on YouTube, like, gotta peep, because it's like one of the best videos of all time.
It's a word that just fits with everything, you can't, like, it's just such a great word that everyone uses it. It's universal. You're not going to offend anybody by using it unless there's maybe little kids in the area and they're really sensitive about that. But for the most part, man, everyone loves that word.
Well, with that being said, man, that is the 10-count question. So all I need from you is for our viewers and our listeners to know where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, Twitter. Just look at my name, Quayshon Alexander. Other than that, I mean, I'm not too much of a tweeter or anything like that. I do like to share funny things, but I'm not too involved or active right now, I should say. But I do go on my little rants sometimes. So you can definitely find me there. And We got a few wrestling group chats and stuff that I'm a part of. So, if you ever want to join those, just hit me up and let me know. We got a bunch of people in there. We talk about real life stuff, wrestling, all New Japan, all the crazy stuff. So you can find me on there.
Bet. Well, there you go. And there you have it. You can find him on all of his social media platforms, like he said. And then, last but not least, this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. And like I said, I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller. And this is Now Entering the Ring with the great Quayshon Alexander. So you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or just kidding. Be at this only spot and tune into the next episode because, it's always going to be fire.
It's going to be great. You see what it was now.
What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. At prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.